I'm Dame Lillian Walker, and I'm going to talk today about how to activate your stem cells and how to detox organically and holistically. So what qualifies me to do this and to share this with you is I'm a poly-certified neurosomatic practitioner, and I repattern the brain from physical and emotional trauma, and I use stem cell activation as a tool to help people repair, restore, and regenerate their bodies to a younger, healthier state. And a lot of times the reason why people have presentations of all sorts of different conditions and issues with their bodies and chronic inflammation and pain points is because they have some sort of toxification in their body. Either they inhaled, ingested, chewed it, drank it, smelled it, absorbed it through the skin. Somehow there's some sort of toxins that got in there that created this havoc in their body. So we're going to talk a little bit about that too today, and some of the silent thieves that we have in our environment that is robbing us blind of different things that are in our body that should be in our body, but they get broken as a result of our environment. So let's get started here. It's working. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the Fantastic Five. We're going to really focus on the mother's cell activation. And I hope you enjoy that little guy climbing up your DNA. I just thought that was kind of fun. And we're going to be talking about pluripotent cell activation. And first of all, we do need to give you a disclaimer because the patches are not intended to treat, prevent, cure any disease. We do not heal, treat, cure, or diagnose anything. Only pharmaceuticals could do that. Nor do we offer any protocols. And the suggestions do not replace a diagnosis or qualified licensed healthcare professional. We strongly recommend that you consult with your doctor. No medical claims are being made. These are general wellness products that are FDA compliant and made in FDA registered facilities. So thank you for being here today. All right, so let's move on. Also, we do manufacture our products in FDA registered facilities here in California for the United States, in Ireland, under the Irish Medicine Board Authority. The FDA visits us basically every other year, and this last fall they took a little change in some of the things, what we could and what we can't. There are things that we've said in the past that we can no longer say. So I'm just going to read literally and tell you what we have been saying and what we can't any longer say so that we stay within compliance. So they took, it says here, the Food and Drug Administration is taking the position that all claims surrounding stem cells and healing, even those from natural products, will be regarded as drug claims. The FDA also asserts that claiming that the use of light, even if it's your own light, it's not light coming from outside, it's saying that it's such as GHKCU, because we're using your own body's lights to activate your own GHKCU, is inappropriate for a general wellness product. So, as a result, we can't say that, although we have 90 clinical independent studies, double-blind placebo with up to 120 subjects in each study that was done in the United States, Europe, and Asia, approved in 82 different countries and governments. But we can no longer call these stem cell activation patches. They are now cell activation patches or phototherapy. So with that being said, now we can get down to the brass tacks, so to speak. So all of this is possible because in 1973, this genius, Dr. Lauren Picard, who is still alive to this day, he discovered that GHKCU copper peptide activates, turns on 33% of your previously dormant stem cells, returning your genes to a younger, healthier state. Really quite incredible. So that brings us to the question, well, what are these master smart cells in the body? What are stem cells? Because not everybody's talking about stem cells on a daily basis like I am. So what are they? Well, let's move on. Let's talk about what are stem cells. And basically they are pluripotent cells. You can just think of them as the master smart cells of the body. And when your mother's ovum, you see here to the right, you see your mother's ovum united with your father's sperm, and at conception, you now have complete information to the tune of 23,688 genes and master smart cells to begin to form you in your mother's womb so that 6 to 8 weeks later, you in fact have an entire little embryo with a little beating heart that you can witness through an ultrasound, depending on whether you're a boy or a girl. It's anywhere from 130 to 150 beats per minute. And as that cellular multiplication continues to move on with all that original playbook in play, you grow into a fetus, and then before you know it, you or a newborn baby. And then, of course, all of you, we take a few trips around the sun, right? And now we're here in Riverside, right, at this event. So let's go on to next. And oh, by the way, we're recording. Okay. So, by the time you're 25 years old, you're probably not aware of this, but as you know, most of us, by the time we're 25 years old, we've just barely had an adult body for a few years. We're just kind of getting used to being an adult. And did you know that when you're 25 years old already, you have your fibroblasts that begin to decline in their production, which those are responsible for your collagen production. So it's no wonder by the time you're just 30 years old, 50% of your original master smart cells, they turn off by the time you're 30 years old. Now, that's not because the other 50% were damaged. It's not because they were destroyed. It's not because they disappear. They simply go dormant until, that is, you apply one of these cell activation patches. And by the time you're not basically 60 years old, because for every decade of life that you remain alive after the age of 30, you go from 50 to 60 to 70 to 80 to 90% of them turn off by the time you're 60 years old, and now you have only 10% of your original contractors, if you will, that were building your house from the inside and out from conception. You only have 10%, and that 10% of those contractors and construction workers then will take you all the way to the finish line till you take your last breath, whether you're 70, 80, 90, 100, 110. The oldest person in California is 116 years old. She just celebrated her 116th birthday, so she only has 10% of her original master smart cells that are still available to her, which is why we age so much faster and it takes so much longer for us to repair the body after we're the age of 60. Does that make sense? So let's go on. Here's the next slide. And I want you to think of your body. I kind of alluded to this already. Think of your body as your temporary housing unit. It's just the housing unit that houses the personality, the person, the energy that's you, right? And if you look at inside the body, you're going to look at your master smart cells. They're kind of like ink cartridges in a copier. You know, you've got a printer at home to make copies for whatever you have to print from your computer. And we all have experienced buying ink cartridges and you put that in your printer. And when you have 100% of the ink, ta-da, it's great because when you make a copy, it's indistinguishable, whether it's color or black and white, it's indistinguishable from the original. However, when you've used up 70, 80, 90% of the ink, and those ink cartridges, now the copies are faded versions of the original. Big difference from when you had 100% of your ink. Same thing is true with your master smart cells, with your stem cells. When you only have 30, 20, 10% of your original master playbook in play, repairing, restoring, regenerating the body, you don't have that complete information because you only have 10, 20, 30% left. Same thing is true with your stem cells. So what can you do about it? Well, you can activate your original cells through stem cell activation patches, or better said, phototherapy or photobiomodulation patches. Now, that brings us to the question, how do these patches work? How is this even possible? So let me give you a little backstory first. Back 24 years ago, our scientist, David Schmidt, was approached by the Department of Defense. And he had been inventing things since he was a child. And the Department of Defense approached him and said, listen, David, we want you to invent all sorts of different things for the Department of Defense. And then they said to him, listen, David, is there a chance that you could do something to enhance the energy of our Black Ops Navy SEALs? Because right now we have them on amphetamines, we have them on uppers, we have them on energy drinks, and although that is very effective, it does in fact boost their energy. The only problem is that when the effects of that energy enhancement wears out, they crash. And they're the first line of defense. We can't really have that. And as you may or may not be aware, David, our Navy SEALs are in submarines up to 90 days at a time where there's no fresh air, they're not out in the sunshine, They're in this pressurized capsule called a submarine. They're bombarded with all the LED lights and all the electronics 24/7 for up to 90 days at a time. And this is very fatiguing to their body. So what can you do to enhance their energy? And David happens to be a man of faith, and so he went into prayer and into meditation. And in prayer and meditation, he received this divine download. And he immediately took that information, ran to his lab, and started testing it. And lo and behold, he discovered that, yes, this in fact works. And that's when the energy enhancer patch, which you can see here on my left wrist and my right wrist, that's when this patch was born 24 years ago. 2004 then came. We all know what happened when 9/11 hit. The Department of Defense, their spending was redirected, and then David was divinely released and free to now put all of his time and effort, and all of his research dollars went into stem cell research. And to the point where now we have a whole suite of up to 11 different patches. And the mother cell activation patch was born just 4 years ago, and the daughter cell activation patch was just born 2 years ago. So the energy enhancer patches actually became available to the public 20 years ago, because that's when the company started operating and then making this available to not just the Black Ops Navy SEALs, but then it was available to everyone worldwide. So the way the patches work is that they use your own body's infrared light. So in the human body, we have 56 trillion cells in the human body. And without cellular activation by this patch, you have about 2 billion cells that turn over every day. Your body is naturally on a schedule. It's about a 7-year schedule. And in that 7 years, the majority of the 56 trillion cells will turn over in that 7-year period. Everything has a different schedule. So your skin turns over every few days. Your stomach, over a 6-month period. Your bones take 2 years for all the cells inside your bones to turn over, so that by the time 7 years have gone by, all of those cells, the majority of them have turned over, and none of the cells that you have in your body today were here 8, 9, 10 years ago, because they've all turned over in the last 7 years, where the youngest cells in your body are just a few milliseconds old, and the oldest cells in your body are actually 7 years old. That is, until you apply a cell activation patch. If you look at this picture here, you will notice the electricity and the light that's in that hand. That's a spectrograph that actually took a picture of the inside of the body, because we are infrared light beings. Now, we've all heard that the ancients, the mystics, a lot of the ancient texts talk about us human beings being light beings, but we always thought that that was something from a kind of a more metaphysical, spiritual, woo-woo perspective, but it's quite literal. It turns out that science is actually the contemporary language of mysticism, and science is only 300 years old, but the ancients have been around for thousands of years, and so science is proving what the ancients have known, and we have devices now that can measure the infrared light that's in our body. Because of the 56 trillion cells that we have in our body, as you may or may not be aware, every single cell in your body has electrons. Your blood and your cerebral spinal fluid has electrolytes. Electrolytes and electrons are just packets of electricity. And that electricity, which is a light form, is in the infrared light spectrum. So that if I were in fact to take night vision goggles and look at you with night vision goggles, much like the military and law enforcement does, I would see that you glow in the dark, right? Because that's what they use to catch the bad guys, right? We would see that because those electrons, that infrared light that you have inside your body, is not just contained within the skin walls. It actually glows outside of you. And so that's what this picture here is evidencing. So when you put a cell activation patch on your skin, this is just like a solar panel. How many of you guys have seen a solar panel on a building or on a house? By show of hands. We all have, right? So that solar panel is capturing light from the sun. The sun happens to be 42% infrared light, just like we're infrared light beings. And it's capturing that energy, and now that house benefits from that energy. Same thing is true here. This is like a solar panel, but it's being put on your skin. And the moment we apply this on your skin, your own body's infrared light reflects back, because this is acting like a mirror, and it's going to reflect back up to 4 inches deep into your body. And the next slide, I'm going to show you how, just like a diamond crystal, let's see if we can get this to work. Yeah, it's working. So if I were to take a flashlight and I were to shine it on a diamond crystal, what happens? That light is coming from the source of the flashlight. It's going to bounce off of that diamond crystal, and it's going to reflect back to my eyes all the different colors from the prism. Same thing is true when I put this on my skin. My infrared light is bouncing off of this crystal lattice, because these crystals, they're organic crystals. They're behaving just like a diamond crystal to reflect back my own infrared light. As soon as it does that, it bounces up to 4 inches deep through the tissue, through the muscle, through the bone, through the ligaments, through the tendons, through the bone, into the bone marrow, down to the cellular level, and it's immediately beginning this rapid reparation and regeneration, taking damaged cells, replacing them with new ones, taking whatever toxins that don't belong in your body, that are just harming you, that don't benefit you, and it'll detox you from them. Okay? So while phototherapy has been defined as the use of ultraviolet light for its healing effects, these patches have been specifically developed to reflect light in the infrared and visible light bands back onto the skin where the patch has been placed. The patches are going to work anywhere on your body, the top of your head, the bottom of your feet, on your hands, doesn't matter. Anywhere on your body it's going to work. In fact, it works on all mammals, not just all humans. So supported by normal electrodermal stimulants, the human body gives off a number of materials biochemically, including particulate release, which just means tiny, tiny, tiny little particles, gas emission, ultraviolet, infrared, near infrared, and visible spectrum light. This then stimulates that area of the skin and produces improved physiological effects. So variations on phototherapy have been used for at least 100 years. I'll tell you, it's been at least 125 years more. And in that time, there's been little evidence that any negative side effects. But this is a relatively untapped option for reparation and regeneration of the body. So the first documented use, I think you're going to be very surprised to hear about this, because a lot of people think photobiomodulation. First of all, that's a lot of syllables. Photobiomodulation. It's like, holy cow, 8 syllables. Big, gigantic word. All it means is photo means light. Bio, biological, because we're biological beings. All mammals are biological beings. Modulation simply means movement and change. And so the first documented use of photobiomodulation was, check that out, 1895. So not in 2000, not in 1900. This is 1895, over 125 years ago. 1903, Niels Reiberg-Benson won a Nobel Prize for his work in photobiomodulation. Pause button. What you didn't know is that Neil Reiberg-Benson was extremely motivated to find a cure, something that would solve, that would relieve him of lupus vulgaris, because he was suffering from lupus vulgaris, and nothing out there was working. And he was a scientist, and guess what? He discovered and won a Nobel Prize for his research using red lights to treat tuberculosis of the skin. And in his experiments with mice, he found that exposing them to red light, just like the sunlight, because the sun is infrared light, just like we are, 42% infrared light, he found out that it reduced both the symptoms and the mortality rate from lupus vulgaris. Pretty nice, huh? Over 125 years ago. And we're just now, the mainstream is just starting to get wind of photobiomodulation. But I will tell you, 30 years ago, when I first started in this field, I started off in the emergency room, as well as working for a private ambulance company as a medic. I started off in emergency medicine. And I will tell you that in the pediatric intensive care and NICU, which is the neonatal intensive care, where premature babies and newborns are put, anytime you have a premature baby, 9 out of 10 of them get something called jaundice, which is as a result of having an immature liver, because they haven't baked long enough in the mother's uterus. They came out, a month early, 2 months early, etc. They have an immature liver, so they get jaundice. They get the yellowing of the eyes, which is evidence of high levels of bilirubin, and they also get a yellow skin. So 30 years ago, we already had photobiomodulation. We had something called bilirubin lights. They were these special lights that you would put in their incubators, and they would wear their little diapers. We would just cover their eyes, and every 30 minutes, we would turn them over in the NICU, and that phototherapy, that photobiomodulation is what helped accelerate their liver's development so that it would mature, so that within 1, 2, 3, sometimes a month's time, then they were now ready to go home. It was purely photobiomodulation. It wasn't things that were done intravenously, it was photobiomodulation. So I am told that prior to us having photobiomodulation through those bilirubin lights, what they used to do prior was that they would take those babies that were born early and were suffering from jaundice, and in the hospital, in the NICU and pediatric intensive care, they would take the babies and put them on the east-facing wall of the hospital. They would open the windows and they would put them from sunrise until noon every day. And their bassinets were all lined up against those windows so that they would get the direct sunlight from the sun, and then they would turn them over every 30 minutes. And then after 12 o'clock, the light spectrum it's too much for, you don't want them being, sunburned and stuff, so it was just until noon. That's how they did it for who knows how long before. I just heard that prior to us getting those bilirubin lights, which is photobiomodulation. But it's just now that people use, it's funny because now the rage you see on, commercials and YouTube ads and stuff, infrared light gizmos and gadgets for your face, and, infrared light beds and all sorts of different things. So the distinction is here, of course, you're not using anything outside of your body. You're simply using this patch as a mechanical structure to mirror back your own infrared light, which is the perfect amount of light for your body because it's your own original source, to activate your own tripeptide called GHKCU copper peptide, which is the on switch to turn on your own original master smart cells. Pretty exciting to ask me. Wouldn't you agree? Okay. So I want you to notice that these are non-transdermal patches. Non-transdermal. So what's that giant word mean? Non means doesn't. Transdermal means transfers into the dermis being the skin. They're non-invasive. Nothing is invading the skin. The crystals that are on these patches, your skin is not absorbing them. It's not like a testosterone patch or a birth control patch or some of the other patches that they have out there that have solutions in them that your body is going to absolutely, act there. Those are actually transdermal patches. This is a non-transdermal patch. The crystals, although these crystals are organic, the list says here it's organic, holistic, FDA compliant, class 1 medical device under the general wellness category. These are organic sugar crystals, organic salt crystals, organic hydrogen, oxygen, water crystals, and a proprietary blend of organic amino acids. And those crystals are also programmed with a very specific frequency, and then they're arranged in a very specific geometrical grid pattern lattice work to create the reaction of what each one of the patches does, because we have now 11 patches total, but we're focusing right now just on the mother and the daughter stem cell activation patch, or should I say better, cell activation patch. Okay, so the FDA regulators are checking us out. We're staying within compliance here. So we manufacture, so it's good to know here that we manufacture our products at FDA registered facilities here for the United States. And the facility in Ireland is registered with the Irish Medicine Board, which is the highest authority that there is for the European Union as well as the UK. It also serves Dubai and Qatar, that part of the world. We manufacture our products in the same standards as a medical device. And our facility in Ireland is in fact 9001 and 13485 compliant. And those are quality standards per our scientist, David Schmidt, who I just told you about. And if I had to describe to you David Schmidt, I would say to you that he is like the perfect combination of Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, and Steve Jobs all rolled into one, because he has that level of genius and that level of creativity, and he is very tuned in, tapped in, turned on, starts every day with prayer and meditation, and he not only received this information and this technology and knowledge to move forward, but he's through and through the ultimate inventor, and he's invented so many things. We don't have time to talk about that today. We're here to talk about cell activation as well as detox. So it's super important. Even, I would never tell anybody what to do. I have 3 kids. I don't need a 4th or a 5th. So I would never dream of telling you what to do, and I'm not going to tell you to get started on the patches today. But if you want to take the best care possible of your body, one of the hallmarks and foundations of health and wellness, no matter what, even whether you're an athlete or not, if you just want to be healthy and take care of the foundational things, just like you need to eat, you need to sleep, you need to drink water. Extract the nectar, and we've known this for many, many years, for over 50, 60 years, that 50% of your weight in fluid ounces of water is really what's required as just a basic foundational thing. Now, I want you to think back when you were in your mother's womb. You were in this amniotic sac, and you were swimming in your mother's amniotic sac, and you were inhaling and exhaling water while you were in utero until you were born. Then you came out of the chute, and you're a pretty juicy baby. And you know, babies are all rounder, and they've got a higher fat content than us adults. And they're kind of juicy, and they're about 82% water. Average person is about 70% water, but by the time you're 60 years old, you're only 55% water. Now, I want you to think about this. Go back to conception. When your mother's ovum united with your father's sperm and you had complete information, your DNA was 92% water. And it continues to be 92% water until you die. Your DNA is also a phenomenal energy conductor of electricity, of energy, because it's 92% water. It's only 8% something else, okay? 92% water. When you become dehydrated, things in your body start to shrink. First thing that starts to shrink, your brain is very water-loving. Your brain is over 75% water. It's very hydrophilic. So when you start to feel thirst in your mouth, you're already 2% dehydrated when you have the feeling of thirst in your mouth. Wait till you see what happens at 8%. But before we go there, I'm going to show you what happens at 8%, and I think you're going to be kind of gobsmacked, put back, astonished, because most people are like, no way, that happens at 8%, just 8%? Yeah. The other thing to note is, before I show you the next slide, after 2% dehydration when you're dehydrated, the proteins in your body, they fold. So I want to ask you, how well would you be able to do your job if you had to have your head down to your knees and you were folded in half? Would you be able to show up to work? Would you be able to drive to get to your job and meet with your clients? Probably not, right? How about you? Would you be able to drive your car? Would you be able to dress yourself? Would you, upside down, would you be able to feed yourself and get the food to go against the flow of gravity and get it to reach your stomach? No, you're going to be very hard pressed to do anything. In fact, you don't work properly. And I know I would not even be able to do this if I was folded in half. Nobody would. Well, guess what? Your proteins don't work when they're folded in half, and when you're dehydrated, they begin to fold. And that's the genesis, the beginning of disease, symptoms, and malfunctions of not just organs, but organ systems in the body. Kind of a big problem. Kind of bringing you to the awareness is like, wow, I'm realizing how important it is to drink water. So let me show you, I already told you that, your DNA is an energy amplifier. Now that you know that it's 92%, think about how many genes I told you you have. 92% water, the majority of them. No wonder they run so much electricity. No wonder we're light beings, right? Check this out. This next slide. The person on the left has done a good job. They drink 50% of their weight in fluid ounces of water. So you see that the healing structure, you had that beautiful figure 8. It's like that ladder. It's got that toroidal thing going on. But the person on the right is 8% dehydrated. Their DNA is unraveling because they're 8% dehydrated. And all you have to do is drink water, good water, not microwave water. Microwave water is dead water. That causes this on the right too. You have to drink good water. 8% dehydration, 10% dehydration, just about, thank you much. 10% dehydration, you can't think. I told you your brain is very hydrophilic. Your brain stops working, you can't think, you lose your mind. 12% dehydration, heart shut down. So nobody can survive 12% dehydration. You're gone. We're going to that. So, oh, by the way, the patches are to be worn 12 hours on, then 12 hours off, and then you discard them, and then for the next 12 months, you'll be signaling your body 12 hours every day. And just as you signal your body, during the daytime, we're awake 12 hours or more, from sunrise to sunset, and then you go from sunset to sunrise, which is your parasympathetic nervous system. Just like the sun sets and is dark for 12 hours, you're going to match the 12 hours that you were signaling your body. It's kind of like having a construction crew in your house doing this remodeling job, and now for 12 hours they go home, then they come back, and the next day they continue on, right? So same thing is going to be true with patches. So I'm going to go kind of quickly because we have to wrap it up here, but this is Dr. John Hart. You can clearly see, we've got it written at the top, he had a right bundle branch blockage that was inoperable. Much to his dismay, because he was hiking and his heart was feeling kind of strange and weird. He was having a lot of knee pain. Turned out that when he went to the doctor said, gee whiz, I don't know how you're walking on that thing. It's polished enough. You don't have any cartilage whatsoever. Of course you're in terrible pain. You need knee replacement. And he's like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then when he went to the cardiologist, he went to not one, not two, he went to 3 of them. And the 3 of them told him, you have a right bundle branch blockage, and too bad, so sad, but it's not operable. And you're going to have to be on heart meds for the rest of your life. And oh, by the way, your lifespan is going to be curved a bit because you have a bad pump. You have an electrical malfunction here going on. Well, on the left-hand side, that's when he started on the patches. You can clearly see he had gray hair, he had obviously some wrinkles, he had some inflammation, and 14 months later, that's Dr. John 14 months later. And all 3 cardiologists confirmed that his right bundle branch blockage disappeared. All 3 of them said, we didn't know this was possible, have never seen this in our practice before, have never read any clinical research studies or papers of anyone else having a right bundle branch blockage disappearing. And then he revealed to them, oh, by the way, 14 months ago I started on cell activation patches. You can also see that your cell activation not only takes care of the inside of the body, but it also, the only reason why you have wrinkles is because you have oxidative stress. So that got cleared up too. And his original hair color, we have a lot of people that they get their original hair color back. So, oh, there we go. So that's him. He's a friend of mine, so in February, we were at a leadership event, and you can clearly see how the majority of his hair is now brown. It's no longer gray. Now it's just February. Okay, this is we don't have time to go through all these other testimonials. For those of you who might want to learn a little bit more about this, I put tons of information, free information, on my YouTube channel. We have about 1,000 doctors and holistic care practitioners in our group. So I have patients all the time that we're getting testimonials, and you get to learn. You can see he's a personal friend of mine who had horrible long haulers for 18 months. Would wake up every morning with headaches, nausea, horrible fatigue, no stamina, and he had horrible insomnia, could not sleep, and he just was getting worse and worse and worse. So when I got my hands on to these patches, I said, Barry, we got to put you on these patches. And he's like, yes. He's in Canada. We started him on the patches. Very first, this is 24 hours after he wore the patches. He's like, Lillian, just a note, don't know if it's placebo or if these patches work that quick or what. But I had really good sleep, a little better sleep than other nights. I fell asleep quicker. Today, I'm just on a high and I'm ecstatic. And when 6 a.m., I feel really, really good physically. When I woke this morning, no headache, no nausea. Yeah, it's just been a phenomenal day. So thank you, and I'll continue as you go on. Hope all is well by. You have no idea how excited I was to get that text message from him. It's absolutely incredible. We don't have time to get too much into Kathy's story. I did invite, she's a friend of mine who lives in Nevada. We did a full hour because she had suffered for 33 years with autoimmune disorder. Not only did all of her autoimmune disorder symptoms go away and her immune system is fine now, but she also, instead of looking like a 60-plus-year-old, you see her in person and she looks like she's 35, 40 years old. She has no wrinkles anymore. And anywhere, not just on her face and her neck, but anywhere on her body. So that was really exciting. These are the bullet points if you want to take a picture of that. If you want to call my number, I will personally text you this along with several links. No links to buy anything. We're Our group is very big on education and then tailoring things to you and answering whatever questions and concerns that you have. And then we'll figure out which are the patches that are best to help you restore your body. But these are the bullet points. The short answer to what the mother cell activation patch does, it lights up 33% of your previously master smart cells to do this rapid cellular regeneration. Anything that's damaged, it replaces it. Scar tissue puts the new tissue, which is why if you have a scar, your scar will disappear. Like I had a scar when I started on the patches that went from my ankle to my knee because I got hit by a bus just 3 blocks shy of finishing a 16-mile bike ride. My bike was totaled. I was almost totaled. I had brain damage from that accident. I also had a neck injury. My point of impact was the bottom left of the back of my head, and my lower back. I have 0 things left from that accident. I'm completely fine. Got my short-term memory back. None of my neurological conditions. My scar, I still have a little bit of discoloration, but I think from a distance they probably look the same. But if you look up close, I have a teeny little bit. How long will it take? Because I've only been on the patches for about 1.5 years. It'll be 2 years in June. In time, it will eventually, but there was a lot of things that had to be repaired when I started on the patches. So this gives you a more detailed list of what the mother cell activation patch does. And it does, we've patched several of you here at this event, and some of you have already experienced within 3 to 4 minutes 50 to 100% pain relief as a direct result of being patched. And people love how much deeper, sounder sleep. And many who used to wake up don't wake up at night anymore. Or if they do wake up, and instead of tossing and turning for an hour and a half, now they immediately go back to sleep. So we're going to jump over this. We have recommendations. We use acupuncture points to magnify the effects of the patches, of course, on the body. We kind of give you an idea of the different patch placement for the 11 patches that we have. This is all available. Of course, we can send you a text message. One thing I'm going to close on is this is the daughter cell activation patch. I really believe, and Dr. Stacy Hallweger, who's a PhD in functional and integrative medicine, happens to be my partner. She says, the most powerful device that we have on the planet today is, in fact, this patch. This patch not only does everything that I showed you in the previous bullet points, but it has the ability to protect you from radiation poisoning relief. And all these LED lights that are robbing you blind from breaking your DHEA fountain of youth hormone, increasing inflammation, and also causing insulin resistance, really causing a big hit to your pancreas, which is why diabetes now is the #1 killer in the U.S. Guess what? This protects you against that, to repair, restore, and regenerate your body to a younger, healthier state. Those are the bullet points for that. We can talk about that at greater length when I talk to you one-on-one. If you guys want to pull out your phones, for those of you who don't have my number already, my number is 714. Just call that number. Let it ring. I'll see the missed call, and I'll send you the bullet points, and then you just text me back your number. And then if you'd like to set a one-on-one 30-minute free consultation where we just do a Zoom and go over your things, your issues, I'd be more than happy to take care of you at that time. I'm sorry, what was that?
What was the number again?
714-865-5626. That's 865-5626. Okay, so that's it. We're, of course, reminding you about the water. We don't have time to go through the rest of this stuff. I'm just showing you here a little bit about the Fantastic Five. You're probably wondering, why are you wearing patches on your temples? I don't have a headache, but remember I told you guys about the brain injury that I had? I actually had brain damage. So this patch increases memory, focus, and brain processing speed. So this patch makes you smarter. And you can get started. There's a show price. You see there's a silver pack. Normally it's $5 a piece, but you can get 30% off when you start on a Dr. Wholesale pack. We would put you on a silver pack. Of course, our most popular packs are a gold or diamond pack. When we talk to you one-on-one, we can go over what your particular needs are. But instead of paying $149 at $5 a patch a day, you would be paying 30% less. And instead of $149, it's $99. So that information on there. I can text you a to get started text. You can just text me that information, and within 2 to 5 days, the patches will be sent to you. And if you decide to get started today at this event, then we'll give you the first 3 days so that by the time you receive your patches, the middle or the end of next week, you have no interruptions. You would start wearing your patches today, and then you have the next 3 days after, and then you'll receive your patches by FedEx. For those of you who want to look at the 90 independent research studies and the patents, that's an educational site. Nothing to buy there. It's purely education. 3-minute video. Startx39now.com. If you want the to get started text, let me know, and I'll text that to you as well. Quiet explosions on the break. For those of you who have ever had concussions, have ever been in a car accident, who ever played football, soccer, any contact sport, that is on Netflix. I happen to be the associate producer for that, and we reveal a lot of surprises that people aren't aware about their brains. So I would encourage you to watch that on Netflix or Prime. Quiet explosions on the brain. That's about it. That's our hotline. You guys are getting my personal line because we're here at a live event. And for stories of transformation, you can check out my YouTube channel. Thank you for your time and attention. This is the last opportunity to take a picture of that if you want to get a screenshot of that. I'm Dame Lillian Walker. Thank you for being here today.
What would be the positive side? Because I just got done doing chemo.
You just got what?
I just done doing chemo.
Okay.
Okay. I'm in remission. How could that help me?
How it can undo the damage from the chemo and the radiation, because with chemo you have a lot of toxins. It killed a lot of the bad cells, but it also killed a lot of the good cells. So this is going to help restore your body so that you get the benefits from that and put away all the things. You're going to detox from all the things that don't serve you, that are still having you drag a bit. It's going to increase your energy, and it's just going to revitalize and regenerate you. So yeah. And these patches can be worn through surgery and stuff. Go ahead.
Could this patch be used to replace supplements that you take, or is it in conjunction with supplements?
It's in conjunction. So some supplements, yes, but other supplements, no. Our food supply is not that great, and so David Schmidt's always talking about how you need to take supplements. People ask him all the time. I do too. And they say, we don't sell supplements. Why do you spend so much time, educating people about taking copper glycinate, calcium, magnesium, yada, yada, yada? And he says, well, I have a moral obligation and responsibility to let you know what you need to do to make a good informed choice and to take care of your body. It's like, you have to activate your stem cells, but you have to eat good food. If you're just eating, TV dinners and, all these things that come in plastic bags and a lot of junk food and synthetic made things, your body's not going to work as well. And so you need to have supplementation. Even if you ate an organic diet where you're eating really healthy food, we have a lot of environmental toxins. So we're going to need some supplements. I think that's it. So back with the board. All righty. Thank you. If you have any other questions, you've got to allow the next speaker to come on. Thank you for being here today and for giving me your time and attention.